artificial intelligence in education. Will it change the way the people think? Will be presented by Mr. Rajendran Dandapani, Vice Chancellor of Zoe University. So your stage is yours.
Thanks a lot for inviting me for this talk. I am here to talk about AI in education. But I want you to scope out the word education. It's not about the thing you do in school and college. It's about the lifelong learning journey that we're all on, right? Let's get started. So AI in its simplest form, like the previous speakers have been telling us today, no real definition exists. Each of us has come up with their own renderings of it. There is one way to tell this child what is hot and what is cold, right? Lay it down in a set of rules. Say that if something is red, if something is shaking around, if there is steam coming out of it, if there is something that's on top of it which is boiling, probably it's hot. Don't touch it. So that is conventional programming. Probably something will come around. It's okay, I think. Nadaka solringla? Okay, yeah. So something will come along probably where something that doesn't send out steam, something that glows yellow instead of red when it's hot, the child will make the mistake of touching it. So flipping the whole idea and coming up with a framework which the child can actually learn from by making mistakes. Touching something, probably not with the whole hand, but with just the little finger, finding out if it is cold, if it is hot, if it is too hot, if it is too cold. That is the single most important difference in terms of programming the conventional way and programming the artificially intelligent way. So three things happened actually. AI has been talked about from 1960s, but it went into what they call the AI winter. There was a time when AI was talked about as all hype, total wasted up. Perissa boost panni vittanga was the feeling everybody got. The reason was these three factors that have come together today were actually missing at that time. What are these three factors? The first one is data. Today, as I speak, every one of your mobile phones is sending data about where you are, what time of day, what other apps are being updated in the background, which location you are in. Probably some of the watches you're wearing is sending a heartbeat, the ECG is being tracked. Data is now everywhere. The previous speaker warned us about the dangers of big. So it's big data. Finally, we now have a way to store it. We now have a way to look at it up there in the cloud. Why is a Google self-driving car able to drive much better than any other car driver? Every other human car driver learns, and his learning or her learning remains in that person's brain. I cannot transfer my learning to my son. The driving school instructor cannot transfer their learning to the person who is getting the elbowed license. On the other hand, every driverless car out there which is going on a trip, exploratory trip, finding out which route to take, every mistake it makes, it records in the central cloud so that nobody else can make that mistake again. So that data is the first important availability today. And in this case, that's the fuel. Data is the fuel. The second most important blessing that we have today is the infinitely fast processors. When you compare it with the processors of old, when you started with large vacuum tubes to visible transistors, today you have billions of transistors in sizes you cannot see with the naked eye. And their power is probably faster than the spacecraft we sent to moon, Apollo 11. So the processor, here the metaphor is the engine, that has come together. Anybody wants to guess the third one? What has come together that now we are suddenly talking as if we are coming into the age of AI. Anybody? Data, processor, memory, memory அதனால தான் data வைக்க முடியாது. Yeah. There is one third element which has finally hit the real internet illa. So look at it, look at the car. What are the three things needed to drive it well? You need fuel, you need a good engine. We are close to it. So the third one is the algorithm. எப்படி ஓட்டணும்? fuel இருந்தா போருமா? engine நல்லா இருந்தா போருமா? ரோட்ல போகணும் இல்லையா? So the third one is the algorithm. Finally, we are coming up with fast, fuzzy algorithms that can hit quite close to the eventual target. That's the reason why it's now seen as a sunrise industry. We have come out of the, Google is talking about AI first thinking. When we think of a new product, the first thing we think about is what AI can we sprinkle on it so that it has an amazing leapfrogging ability over anybody else who can build anything else in the same domain. AI first. Addition of numbers. Right? If you look at education, this is the first level, the lowest level. No teacher should be spending time correcting marks, correcting answers submitted by a student for problems like this. This is a good first step. Trillions of numbers, adding it quickly is any computer's child's play. Taking it a level further, multiple choice questions. Each question having only one correct answer, probably two correct answers, has the student mark them correctly. Right? Again, no teacher should be spending time laboring on efforts like this. First of all, it's time intensive. Secondly, it is error prone. Right? If you're having a fight with your husband or wife, if you're sleepy, you're going to make mistakes. Thankfully, the computer is not going to do that. But there is a third level. This is a Romeo and Juliet article some student has written, some Shakespeare essay. Can AI help me evaluate the quality of this essay? How many marks can I really give on 10? Right? Should I give 6, 5? Anybody got 10 on 10 in any English essay? Right? It has never happened in the history of education, right? Why? Why? I don't know. So there is this professor, Ashok Goel, in Georgia Tech. He actually recruited a teaching assistant. Every professor has a teaching assistant to help the professor manage the so many submissions that come for any assignment that the teacher gives. This is a typical conversation. Her name is Jill Watson. Should we be aiming for 1,000 or 2,000 words? I know it's variable, but that's a big difference, is the question. One of the students has asked in the discussion forums that the teacher has set up, and Jill is answering, there isn't the word limit, but we will grade on both depth and succinctness. It's important to explain your design in enough detail so that others can get a clear view of your approach. It's also important to keep things clear and short. So you might have guessed, because we had a previous speaker who showed you something, and then finally he said, you know what? That was created by GPT-2. It's an algorithm that is creating the answer. Jill Watson, you remember Watson? IBM's Watson? Jill Watson is basically running on an artificially intelligent algorithm. Jillinu பேர் வச்சிருக்காரு, ஏன்னா ஜில்லுன்னு இருக்கிறதுக்காக இருக்கலாம். Right? So basically, this artificially intelligent bot or agent was actually helping the professor answer most of the low-hanging fruit. When is the submission? Can I submit it 2 days late? Should it be 1,000 words or 2,000 words? So that the teacher could give higher order solutions. Spend time at the more important, loftier, elevated levels, where the teacher really plays a role. So the aim is not to replace a teacher, but to actually help them perform at their top potential. That's the most important differentiation we all need to know. when the calculator came in, it didn't replace our need for all mathematics. We were able to do higher mathematics because for simple calculations at the last step, we brought out the calculator. That is the understanding we should have. So I bring back the first title slide and I want you to expand from AI in education, will it change the way we think, was the title given to me. I'm saying it's not the AI in education. AI is out here in the world. It is here because of a few reasons, a few things that have happened in the world. So step back to the higher level. In the world that has made AI possible, how should education change? What will be the expectations on us as teachers and students? What will be its impact? Will it change the way we think? Illa. That's not the point. Whether we should change the way we think? Illa. How should we change the way we think so that we can coexist and still be the master of these artificially intelligent algorithms? That is my starting point. There is this book. Some of you might have read it. Daniel Pink. The book's name is Drive. The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us. That's the name of the book. It's more a work environment book, but anybody who doesn't want motivation, from the child who wants to pick up a candy bar that's too far above his or her hand, all the way to a CEO who wants to beat the competitor, there is motivation, need for motivation. And in this surprising truth, he talks about 3 factors that eventually end up motivating a workforce beyond just higher salary and better perks. You can do that to a level. Beyond that, you will reach a point where more money doesn't motivate you anymore. That extrinsic carrot doesn't dangle enough for you. He talks about these 3 words. Autonomy, that's the first word. He says, if you want true engagement, either at a school level or at a college level, or in the family level, or in an organizational level, if you want true engagement, if you want that person to be truly engaged, you need to let them have a sense of autonomy. I am doing this because I chose to do this. I am doing this because I would have done this even if I weren't employed by you. Karumbu tinna kooliya. This is something I'm already passionate about. This is something I'm already interested in. Oh, you want to pay me for it and give me an air-conditioned room to work in with it? Amazing. I will hook up with you. That should be the way you should structure the offer at the school, at the college, at the corporate environment. He talks about a story like this. He says, imagine a thought experiment. In the 1960s, this was conducted over and over again for thousands of times, and data was collected. Imagine an experiment like this, where you're given a table, and there's a box of tacks, thumbtack, otivepome, kambila. There's a box of matches, and there's a candle. And the question is, attach a lit candle onto the wall, the wax must not drip onto the table. Attach the candle to the wall, the wax must not drip onto the table. Do it as fast as you can. That's another challenge. Seekram pannu. Romba yosikadu. Some of you might have seen this already. Anybody knows the answer? How do you set up this candle onto the wall? So you have a box of matches, you have a box of thumbtacks. The candle wax shouldn't drip onto the wall, onto the table. Under the table. So there is nothing you can do under the table. Good out of the box thinking though. It's floor and walls. Look at it like that. So the puzzle is not the actual answer. We are looking meta, beyond the puzzle. The answer for the puzzle is, no, this can't be done because it will drip, of course. This can't be done. Sila per idu solluvaanga. Side, I'll burn the side of it and then stick it to the wall. it will still drip. The actual answer is take the tacks out of the box, you get a free box. Use 2 tacks to fix it to the wall, and now get the candle onto the wall. And this is the solution. But interesting though it is, this is not what the discussion itself is about. The discussion is actually about this is a hard problem. This makes it infinitely easier. Ibdi kuduthirundha, we would have done it. This is a much easier problem. So let's differentiate these 2 problems, hard problem and easy problem. And this guy said, I will have the audience divided into 2 groups. And in one group, I will say, I'll encourage you with money. The other group, I'll say, oh, good, I'll pat you on the back. No money. And then he said, even the fastest time will be rewarded, top 25% will be rewarded, everything money oriented. There, no monetary reward. He split the group. And then he gave both problems, the simple version and the complex version, to half of each group. Okay? All clear? Now look at the data. Who won the simple problem? The top performers were those, you get the idea? The top performers were those who were encouraged by money when given the simple problem. When given the complex problem, shock of shocks, you try it. People have been collecting data over decades now. Shock of shocks. When given the complex problem, those given more money as an incentive were actually distracted, couldn't think, were not able to think. And those who won it were those who weren't given a monetary reward. This is where he started thinking beyond a particular point. If the work is creative, if the work involves extreme, excessive, brainy thought, giving monetary rewards could probably even slow you down. Again, draw a connection from there to the world of schools and colleges where you say, I'll give gold medal, I'll give 100 marks. That's moving you away from true creative learning. Think about that. So, if this is the problem, if task is simple, then monetary encouragement is good. That's great, amazing. But if the task is complex, money will not be giving you true encouragement. So we are continuing on the thought of autonomy, letting the student choose, rather letting the student feel that I have chosen what I wanted to do. I would like to take the example of this man, Steven Sagmeister is his name. He is a creative guy. He runs an agency in New York. What is special about this guy? He even came on a TED talk to tell about what he does. He runs a creative agency, nice advertising agency. But suddenly one day he realized, oh my God, I am not as creative as I was in the beginning. And this is what he did. He said, he looked back at his life. 25 years I learned. And then from 25 to 65, I have just been working, basically using what I learned. Many of us will fall into that trap. Yes, we have been using what we learned. And after 65, I come back home, probably wear a gold watch and a rose garland, have a remote control in my hand, sit back. That's what I do. So instead of this usual way of life, how good would it be if I can do something like this, he thought. He said, I'll chop off my retirement time. I'll reduce it a little. And I'll scatter my retired year, that free year, 1 year. I'll scatter it every 7 years. Great experiment, guys. This is what he did. If you visit his website during his gap year, this is what it would say. You have reached Sagmeister Incorporation. We are conducting a full year of experiments and will be back on September 1. Please call us then. Imagine a business saying something like this. But still, today, he is the most sought after creative agency in New York City. This guy did the same. Ferran Adria, he is many times award winner of the world chef contest, right? And there is a car tire agency that runs the contest, Michelin contest. And this man, Adria, he is a Brazilian cook. He says, every 18 months, I will take 1 month close. I'll close my restaurant. And on that month, the restaurant is open only for employees. All they can come. They will cook. They will experiment. They will make mistakes. They will learn. And they will use those experiments to completely revamp the menu for the next 18 months. You would wonder, if a company operates like this, you will not be able to do good business. But try booking a table in his restaurant. It is booked till 2025. His tables in his restaurant are booked till 2025. So it comes from Alice in Wonderland itself. There is this Red Queen who says, it's hard to get a little better when you want to be consistently good. If you set your own level as, I am going to be this good or better only, if you set that constraint on yourself, you are not going to be able to make any mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes, you're not learning anything. And if you don't truly learn anything, you can't be consistently better. That's a known fact. All of us know it. So there is this 3 words. So one of them is a job done for money. We're not looking at that. Daniel Pink's book is not looking at that. The other is career, where you advance, where you look for promotions, more salary, bigger car. But what you're looking for is the calling. That is the only thing that will separate you from a robot. That is the one thing that says you are fulfilled intrinsically. You have completed the mission God put you on earth for. That is the one thing that can differentiate you from a high-performance robot or an amazingly accurate algorithm. What's that? The passion and the calling. The second word, after autonomy, the second word he says motivates everybody is mastery. Don't just give me a job that I can keep doing without giving me an opportunity to get better at that job. I must be able to pursue my own personal goals of getting better on that job. Artificial intelligence plays a simply amazing role because it can learn from you just by observing you. It can work with you. There are so many examples. So many words have been coined. So many phrases have been put together. You must have heard of adaptive learning. It really creates an inclusive learning environment because each student can actually be monitored individually. Try logging into Khan Academy. It's got some AI already on it. Every student's path is individual because there are algorithms powered by Bill Gates and Microsoft which actually track a student's progress and dive in if a student is suffering. Leapfrog if a student is thinking it's too easy. It monitors. It watches whether you are watching the videos. It sees whether you are making mistakes and learning. There is baseline matching. When somebody joins a class, already thousands of students have joined the class and gone through it. They are given feedback like you gave feedback about the speaker. This data, when a new student comes in, we can do a baseline matching and evaluate where this student should start. When we all got into college courses, it was all about who is the first person to send that sheet under the professor's door, right? 30 students and then done. And later they said, I'll conduct an examination. An examination is just a photograph of who you are. You as a personality is much more. You are a movie. ஒரு மூவிலேருந்து ஒரு ஸ்டில்லை மட்டும் எடுத்து இந்த படம் நல்ல படமான்னு கேட்க முடியுமா? That is the mistake we are doing today. But with AI, with right access to data, I can actually watch your movie. No, I need not. My algorithms can actually watch your movie, can match you by baseline matching to the right kind of colleagues you need to have. Some might be similar, some might be consciously dissimilar. Because much of the learning happens from peers, not from the teacher, downwards. They can match you and then create an ideal classroom environment where learning can happen every day. Language skills. analytical insights like a friend pointed out, micro credentials. Instead of waiting for one whole year, one whole semester to finish, we can provide badges, we can provide appreciation. You can do 6 courses in electrical engineering from 6 different universities, put them all together and create your degree. These things are possible because today blockchain is playing a very important role in education. Right? The student's ledger, unhackable, can't fudge it, and it's not owned by some central authority. Look at the shopping cart scenario. So much AI has happened in shopping carts. If only that happened in teaching. Just imagine. When I come to Amazon and add something to my cart and then decide not to buy it, it chases me everywhere. You must have seen it. Any other website you go, Amazon says. It then sends me a mail. You added 2 things. If I still don't budge, it tells me, buy within the next 24 hours, I'll give 25% discount. Have you received that mail? It gives you discounts. Imagine this happening in the world of education. You studied this. You know what? Of the 3,000 students who have studied it in the history of this course, this many students went into that. Your baseline match looks like this. So I strongly recommend you will do very well if you take this course. யாராவது பண்ணிருக்காங்களா? பண்ண முடியும் இன்னைக்கு. That is the irony of it. Today, we can do that. But the biggest punch is going to come when there is this thing about manufacturing. They call it the digital twin. If you have a large ship and it's completely digitized, there will be a digital twin of it in the laboratory. Anything happens to the ship physically will be reflected in the digital twin, IoT which. So we can predictively analyze what's going to go wrong. Where is the leak going to be? Which engine will fail first? So imagine having a digital twin for every student. Imagine being able to run experiments on the digital twins. We can pre-run scenarios and find out which student requires patting, which student requires kicking, which student requires colleagues of the right kind, which student requires probably a completely different domain because his interests are different from his parents' interests. These are the things where AI can play an important role. There's a great book called Making Users Awesome. Badass அப்படினு பேர் bookக்கு. Kathy Sierra is the author. And she talks about where learning truly happens. Right? She talks about this ability versus time. As time goes on, what happens to ability when I learn something? We all think this is how it happens. I hate something. Assume you are now learning to do great photography. Right? So, I hate taking great photographs. I don't know how to do it. I can do the basics. Point and shoot I can do, but DSLR லாம் எனக்கு கொடுக்காதே. I am competent. I'm decently good. I know 3-4 buttons. I'm good at this. I'm advanced. I kick ass. I am world class. We all think this is how we grow. But expertise, all of you is an expert in something or the other. Just think back. Is this how you became an expert? No. Truly speaking, there is this suck threshold. I am really bad at something. And there is badass threshold. I am really good at something. And you know truly what happens? This is what happens. A little while later, we reach a point where time goes on, we don't get better. How many of you know? You all use Android phone or iPhone. How many of you know some power feature in iPhone or Android? Can you change your ringtone? Most of us have default ringtones. Why? Not because we like those tones. Changing those ringtones is an additional power user feature. We don't know. We like it when somebody's ringtone is some latest Tamil movie song. How do we get it? We don't know how to do it. We all sit there. We need a second move to the next threshold. And she says, this is how it actually happens. In any learning of any new skill, there is this can't do, but I want to do. And then there is this can do with some effort, with some conscious effort, I can do it. And then there is this, I have mastered it. தூக்கத்தில் எழுப்பி சொன்னா கூட I will do it. I am now a past master. It's automatic for me. And we all think this is how learning happens. One by one, we move the skills to can do, and then we move it to mastered, and then we finally move it to all done. This is how we think we learn. This is how teachers think we should learn. Mathematics, huh? Have you done algebra? Have you done calculus? Have you done advanced vector calculus? Okay, done. But true learning, she says, and she has some beautiful research to back her up. She says, true learning is not like this. Ask Sachin Tendulkar how he learnt cricket. True learning happens only when you have something here all the time. Some of you will remember Shane Warne and Sachin. When Shane Warne came to India for the first time, Sachin was bowled out. Sachin went back to his coach and said, I need to do well against this amazing bowler, world-class bowler. He set up 5 stumps instead of 3. 5 stumps, because the spin was so much. He became can't do but want to do in that. So any expert, you really do a hard interview with them, you will know that they have some of the things in can't do but I want to do mode. Never always in the right box. There is another advice she gives. She says, it's not just transference from left to right, left to right. It is also this. When something has become automatic, one danger is you will not be able to improve it anymore. Left hand la pal tech paranga. You will hurt your gums because it just doesn't happen to you. Right? So only when you do something different once in a while, only when you push it consciously to downwards, you will fix all the holes in your learning, she says. Schools don't operate like this. They can, with the advantage of AI, they can. Because with AI, the school room has come to your bedroom, to your drawing room, to the park, to your mobile phone. So it can actually happen. The third word, the first word was autonomy. The second word was mastery. This is the third word. The third word is my favorite word because that is what separates us, separates Charlie Chaplin from the machines. Right? That's the word that you have the sense of purpose. I am part of something much, much bigger than what I am. I am playing a larger role. I will leave a legacy behind. Even when I die, there will be something that won't die. That legacy is something that we want to create, and that is the sense of purpose. If you can make your school members, college members, your employees feel that simply because they are part of this system, instead of being on the road somewhere, simply because they are part of this system, small actions they do have a much larger impact because of the system effect. That is what he is talking about. And this guy is called Diamandis, and he is an entrepreneur from Silicon Valley. He has created a new university with new principles. And he says, these are the challenges of education today. The problems are we grade. There is a sage on stage, standing like this, everybody listening, na solradha, right, ketuko. There is no relevance, lack of relevance with what's needed and what's being given. There is no, everybody is asked to color inside the lines. And finally, it's boring because of all this. And he says, these are the guiding principles of my educational effort. And he says, there should be passion. We should identify passion. There should be encouragement of curiosity. What are the wrong answers you can come up with? There is only one right answer, boring. How many wrong answers can you come up with? That is the question. How creative can your wrong answers be? Homework, yenda panlaki evlo creative varudhu. How many wrong answers we hear for that? There should be imagination and there should be critical thinking. And finally, you need to encourage grit. I have more to show. Are we up? Time up? Huh? Okay. All right. He says these are the principles, these are the things that actually set us differently from being an automated robot, right? Storytelling, convincing, inspiring and motivating. Teach that skill at school. So important. Most of the kids who come out of college today lack that skill. They cannot in the time you take from getting into the ground floor of an elevator to the last floor, they cannot make you feel, I need to spend more time with this person. That's an art. Try doing that. Allow experimentation. Every chemistry experiment, every physics experiment, you all remember is, you'll be given an objective. Prove that this is 3.75. When you're given an objective, the whole sense of experimentation is gone, because you cannot experiment. You cannot chase any answer. You have to chase one right answer. Instead, think about giving them a set of tools. Take 3 hours, come up with something interesting. Every answer is correct. That is what we should encourage. Teach empathy. That sets you apart from an AI. Very hard to build empathy into an algorithm, thankfully. Ethics and dilemmas. Driverless car commits an accident, runs over somebody. Why? Because it was swerving away. There were 3 children playing on the road. On the road, 3 children were playing. I had to swerve away to save those 3 children's lives. Old man sitting in the corner reading newspaper. What mistake did he do? Physics took over, rode over that guy. I killed 3 people. I saved 3 people. I killed 1 person. Is that good mathematics? Okay, who does the old man's wife go to court against? Car builder? Chip builder? Algorithm builder? Or those 3 children's mother? Father? Dilemmas. Pose these questions to these students. Because these are dilemmas that software cannot handle. Improvise. And coding skills extremely important. And entrepreneurship. Making mistakes, coming up from, we saw amazing examples of entrepreneurship, like the Uber example. He was talking about the Zappos example. And teach them sales. And teach them languages. So I have one whole set of lessons I learned from this book. Should I stop, or I'll go on until they drag me off? Yeah. Yuval Noah Harari has written an amazing book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. I am taking just the chapter called Education, and I am going to read few excerpts from them. In that book, in the chapter on education, he says, unfortunately, teaching kids to embrace the unknown and to keep their mental balance is far more difficult than teaching them an equation in physics or the causes of the First World War. You cannot learn resilience by reading a book or listening to a lecture. The teachers themselves usually lack the mental flexibility that the 21st century demands, for they themselves are the product of the old educational system. Right? And then he goes on. In the middle of town, there is a large concrete building divided into many identical rooms. Each room is equipped with rows of desks and chairs. At the sound of a bell, you go to one of these rooms together with 30 other kids who were all born in the same year. Which idiot came up with that idea? If everybody is born in the same year, they will all be at the same intellectual level. Who said? Right? Every hour, some grown-up walks in and starts talking. They are all paid to do so by the government. One of them tells you about the shape of the earth, another tells you about the human past, and a third tells you about the human body. It is easy to laugh at this model, and almost everybody agrees that no matter its past achievements, it is now bankrupt, this educational system. But so far, we haven't created a viable alternative, certainly not a scalable alternative that can be implemented in rural India, rural Mexico, rather than just Mumbai and California. And then one more, he says, so the best advice I would give to a 16-year-old stuck in an outdated school somewhere in India, don't rely on adults too much. Most of them mean well, but they just don't understand the world. In the past, it was a relatively safe bet to follow the adults because they know the world quite well and the world changed slowly. But the 21st century is different. Due to the growing pace of change, you can never be certain whether what the adult is telling you is timeless wisdom or outdated bias. Right? They engineering or medical or padichirra. How many times we have heard that? Shouldn't it stop already? And finally, to succeed in this daunting task, you will need to work very hard on getting to know your OS better, to know what you are, what you want from life. Unnai nee arindal அப்படினு சொல்வாங்களே. This is of course the oldest advice in the book. Thousands of years philosophers and prophets have told this to us. But this advice is more urgent now than ever before. Because in the days of Lao Tzu and Socrates, today you have serious competition. Coca-Cola, Amazon, Baidu and Apple are all racing to hack you. Not your smartphone, not your computer, not your bank account. They are in a race to hack you, to understand what powers you, what motivates you. Whole US election was hacked, they say, because they were able to find out your likes and dislikes and create an algorithm for you. So I'm almost done. I will quickly jump over these slides. This man, Seth Godin, last 4 slides. He has written a lot of books. I strongly recommend anything this guy writes, including stuff that he writes and destroys. It's so good. This man writes a book called Small is the New Big. And Seth Godin, Dr. Seth Godin, and in that book he says, Matram ondre maradadu, embrace change, be ready for change, all that is bullshit, he says. And he says, Sunna pattadu, you will never be able to be ready when the change hits you. And he says, do you know the only way to be ready for it is to introduce small changes in your life yourself. And he says, do zooming. What is zooming? Here are examples. One day, go to a place, shut down your phone, get lost. Try asking Pukaramma how to go to the location. Try asking the conductor. Try following mapless guidance. How much you are suffering, appadan theriyum. How dependent we have become on Google Maps, appadan theriyum. He says, speak some nonsense to Alexa or Google Play, and they will play some song from Russian or New Zealand music. Listen to that. That is music too. Millions of people enjoy that. Go on a trip. So basically, don't be a data slave. What is played for you next is already decided by Google. What book you have to read next is decided by Amazon. Get out of the algorithm once in a while. Spend a day that is not driven by an algorithm. அப்படின்னு சொல்றார். Netflix. I was on Netflix and I thought this is an amazing collection. One day I went to my sister's house. I was spending the night there. I couldn't go in and log in as my account. So I logged in as a guest account. Netflix was completely different. Stuff that was shown was completely different. Simply because Netflix didn't have who I was. Do that once in a while. Some strange, unknown, amazing gem will be exposed to you. Live the life of controlling the data rather than being controlled by data. Go to some random bookshop. Pick a random book. Read a random page one day. See the special joy that you get when you do that. That lady has said, Theodore Roosevelt or the wife. This lady, Mrs. Roosevelt, has said, Eleanor Roosevelt, every day, do at least one thing that scares you. If you want to live and coexist in this world of artificial intelligence, this is probably the greatest advice, 1950s, the greatest advice we can take for ourselves. Every day, do at least one thing that scares the hell out of you. I think I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Please.
Thank you for allowing me to
No
go
questions,
beyond time.
wind up. Okay. Yes, sure. You have to go to stage. Yes. Second question. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay, thank you. Oh, one more last question. Thank you. So I request our Director, Outreach and Social Media, Mr. Sripati Raghav, to present a small memento to Speaker, Mr. Rajendran Dandapani. Please.
Thank you so much for letting me